What's up, Scarred Ones? It's Johnny, and the long-awaited ICE episode number 10 is finally here. The ending. Question mark. On our agenda today, we have news, going over our next conventions, as well as some of our new merch. Season 4, the final season. Ooh. How to keep the show alive, changes in our off-season coming up, including cast interviews and weekly giveaways. The release date of Season 4 and its schedule, and some links to some amazing greatness listed below that we're going to go into. And then a special at the very end thanks to our Patreon supporters. And if you're a Patreon, you're really going to want to stick around for this one. All right, so without further ado, let's head into the first section, the news. Insert cool sound effect noise here. There we go. So, on the news, coming right up this April, so if you're listening to this now or tomorrow, again, if you're not familiar with the ICE format, let me interject real quick. This is not edited. This is not scripted. I do have a piece of paper in front of me letting me know what I need to talk about, but it's not typed out like insert funny joke here. So there's going to be some ums, some ands, some mks, and things like that. So I very much apologize for that, but this is supposed to be just like an intimate conversation with me and you. So, anyway, into the news. We are going to be at the Eastern Rim Funny Book and Vintage Con 2019. There is a link in the show notes. You can click it. It takes you right to the Facebook event. That is going to be April 13th and April 14th. And it's going to be really cool. There's going to be a ton of people out there, including us, including the guys from Scary Dad, and just amazing con happening in Baytown, Texas. So if you're in Houston or the greater Houston area, come out and see us. Come say hi. We're going to be giving away some special things in person to people that I'm not going to go over here on the broadcast because I don't want to make the people in Sweden jealous. So make sure you stop by if you're over here in the old H-Town, Texas, or Morston, as we like to call it, and come and see us at the Eastern Rim Funny Book and Vintage Con 2019. Got it? That's going to be at Lee College. That's 200 Lee Drive, Baytown, Texas, 77520. And it's a free event with free parking. So it's free. Come out, get some free stuff, hang out with us, and see some amazing panels. Again, the Eastern Rim Funny Book and Vintage Con. Got it? Great. Next one. Scary Dad's Haunted Halloween Show Part 3. And now it's personal. Right? It's the third one. Jaws 3D, and now it's 3D. So if you click on the link in the show notes, the Facebook link there to that event, that's going to take you, very similar to the other con, to their Facebook page. The Scary Dad Haunted Halloween Show Part 2 we were a part of last year, which was amazing. It was fun. We met a lot of great new fans that are listening to the show now, including you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I know you're listening. And we appreciate that. This event's going to be at a different area. This is actually going to be at the Crown Plaza Galleria area in Katy. And it's 7611. You got a pen? Hold on. 7611. Come on, write this down. Shit. 7611 Katy Freeway, Katy, Texas. 77024. You ready? Actually, it's a Galleria area, so that's probably still Houston. Let me make sure that's right. So that's 7611 Katy Freeway, Houston, Texas, 77024. You got that person listening in Japan? All right, cool. But for all you guys local, that's another Houston convention that we're going to be attending. Now, that one's way out there in September 28th and September 29th, and we're going to be there both days. And come by, say hi. Probably by then, we're going to have even cooler stuff to give away. So you're going to want to come say hi to the people at the Sirenicide booth. We will sign your boobies. All right. So that is, again, the Scary Dad Haunted Halloween Show Part 3. And you can check that out at the link in the show notes. Click attending. Let us know you're going. Say something in the discussion messenger on either of them. I think there's also a preview night for the Eastern Rim one that myself and Matthew Finnis are going to be going out to this Tuesday. But yeah. All right, so that's the news and the cons. What else has been happening since the last time we had an ICE episode with you guys? Well, we had some merchandise, some updated merchandising come out. So if you click the store icon and the show notes or on Sirenicide.com, it's going to take you to our TeePublic. And we have some amazing canvases, phone cases, all sorts of good stuff. And when you purchase that stuff, it helps support the show. It doesn't just look cool, it keeps us alive. Anyway, so You can click that merch. If you want to know what that merch looks like, and you're like me and you don't like the stock photos when you go to a website like that, every piece of real merchandise we've purchased from there, whether it's t-shirts, phone cases, laptop cases, anything like that, wall art, anyone that we've purchased, pillows, all that kind of stuff. We actually have a set in the show notes as well. There's a ton of links in the show notes. So you're going to want to go to the show. Are you there yet? Go look at those show notes. You can listen to me while you look at the show notes. That's the way this works. All right, so you can click that facebook.com/media set, $set, $0.78. I'm not going to read all that. Anyway, click that Facebook link, and it'll take you to our album that has all those photos. And if you're saying, well, I don't have Facebook, well, that's fine. It's public. You don't have to have a Facebook to look at it. You can actually click that, and it'll have Facebook wrapped around it, but you don't have to actually have a Facebook account to view that page. Sound cool? Cool. So take a look at our new merch. If you want anything custom, let us know. We'll work with you. You know, there's a leather journal, or not leather. It's not real leather. But there's a hard-bound journal book I just bought, and it came in like this off black or off gray, and I didn't really care for it that much. So I went into the back end side because, you know, we can do that running the show and all that, and turned it to maroon. So if you want a hot pink one, let me know before you order. I'll change it to hot pink. You can order it, and then I'll switch it back when you're done. Just because I like you. Not you, but you. All right, cool. So that's the news. I'm going to take a short, quick break, and I'll be right back with news about the final season of Sirenicide. You're going to want to hear this. And just like that, you didn't even realize 20 minutes passed. I'm back to talk to you about Sirenicide's final serialized season. So this is the meat and potatoes of this heart-to-heart that we're going to have. I've always been writing towards an ending, and I think we've said that in ICE episodes of the past and live shows and things like that. But if this is the first time you're hearing that, know that we've always been writing for an ending. Originally, we were going to do 5 seasons of the serialized show, but with financial constraints and, of course, you know, families and day jobs and everything else that comes with living in existence, we actually went to 4 seasons. Now, that being said, we cut out a few storylines that don't hurt the current storyline. We just weren't able to explore those. You're never going to know because they were never there. But the way the final season wraps up is completely interlocking all the storylines, questions answered, plot holes, you know, just filled in with some asphalt and rolled over. No, not really. Literally everybody has some sort of ending for their character. And it's not I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, but I know like a lot of the people, they, without spoiling any of it, these ravens is like their messaging system in that series. And then this past season, everybody was showing memes like with a raven with like jetpacks underneath its wings because of how quick it was able to like get places. And I felt that way too. I'm like, damn, that bird just sent that message and wow, that other person already got it. Amazing. You can definitely tell these writers like, okay, this is coming to an end. We need to hurry up. Well, we didn't want to do that with this show. So we went through and we have taken an extended off season. That's my chair creaking. That's ICE episode chair creak. Isn't that cool? Anyway, we took we're taking an extended off season just to make sure that it's correct, you know, that it's written correctly. And we want to pay homage to what we've always kind of said here, or I've said here, or we've all said here. But we're big fans of Breaking Bad. And that's only a 5-season TV show. And they covered a ton of characters and a lot of ground, a lot of side characters, a lot of plot points. And they still sealed it up really tight and put a bow on it. And you can watch that from season 1 to season 5 and feel satisfied. Well, with us, we want you to be able to press play and listen to us from season 1 throughout the end of season 4. And if you never listen to us again, you're satisfied. The show is also, you know, very reflective of that of like Star Wars because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And I want when my listeners hear it, when you hear it, when you press play on, I don't know, season 3, episode 4, like, whoa, I don't remember hearing that last time. There's a lot of Easter eggs throughout the episode that are complemented by episodes that hadn't even came out yet. So you can literally get something out of season 2 in the middle of season 4 if you go back and listen to season 2. Like, oh, wow, I see what they did there. And this show is written like that on purpose because I want to be able myself, and selfish about it as it gets, I want to be able to go back and listen to Sirenicide and enjoy it each time I hear it. I still, when I do a re-listen of this show, even being the creator or one of the creators of it, it's still like, oh, I can't believe I forgot we did that. That's awesome. That clicks with that dude and what he did. And I want that element for you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'm going to go more into season 4 a little bit later in this episode, not spoiling anything, but the serial aspect of the show is going to be ending. And what I mean by that is, a lot of you guys probably listen to anthology podcasts, where you press play on something like No Sleep or Creepy. Great shows, by the way. We'll be talking more about them later. And you listen to the story, and the story ends, and you're done. You press play, you got the story, and it's over. There might be one a few weeks later, or a few months later, a few years later. It's like a sequel to that story, and it's like, oh, I remember that character. But it's still mostly anthology. Well, with the serialized content, we wanted something where you met Matthew Finnis and you followed him through this massive journey. And you can't do that in an anthology style. But Matthew Finnis's journey's coming to an end. Again. Spoilers if you haven't made it through season 2. If you haven't made it through season 2, you should probably stop listening to this right now. Go binge the series and then come back and finish this behind the scenes episode because, yeah. So he dies? Maybe. All right. So basically, the serialized season is done. Now, Sirenicide itself may be finished unless... Let's move on to the next section, right? How to keep the show alive. We'll be right back.
Sirenicide is made possible by Atrium Dynamics and by monthly financial support from listeners like you.
The program that you're listening to on this feed is completely listener and creator funded. Hi, I'm Audio's Johnny Stitches, and I'd like you to help us keep the show alive. You can visit sirenicide.com/donations and take your choice of donating via a monthly contribution on a subscription level, or click the PayPal link and make a one-time listener donation. Any support you give helps the show stay alive. Don't let our story slip away. Support the show today. Thank you. And we're back. Hello, and welcome to How to Keep the Show Alive. Please don't skip over this section, because it's really important to keep Sirenicide going. Even if you're not going to contribute, I would still love you to hear this, because this is some cool stuff. All right, so in the show notes, there's a link that's been there now for about 2 years, maybe a year and a half, I'm not sure. And it's www.patreon.com/Sirenicide. Now, as I've said in the past, there's a lot of great things on Patreon. There's a ton of good things that you can support, whether it's YouTube channels, other podcasts, comic book artists. There's so many cool things on Patreon. And one of the cool things on Patreon is Sirenicide. So when you go to patreon.com/Sirenicide and you click it, it's going to take you to this amazingly built Patreon page, all the artwork by the great Desdemona of Calling Darkness. And she's our lore master, and she did an amazing job decorating this page. The artwork on this page is not on any other Sirenicide social thing. Like, you can only see this art there, and you get that just for going there. You don't even got to subscribe. You can still look at it and go, wow, yeah. Right now, we have 35 Patreons as of this recording. 35. I'm going to shoot you straight. You ready? You ready? You got your shield up so you don't get shot? No. We need 96. 96 Patreons. We got 35. And so we're not that far away from it. But if we hit 96 Patreon supporters, the show will continue. Now, there's a disclaimer on that. You ready for the disclaimer? 96 Patreons. So, Acolyte 96. All of our goals are named after our acolytes because we're nerds. Even though Acolyte 96 died at the hands of Molly, and you better not be here if you haven't listened to that. But yeah, Acolyte 96 ain't a big character. Anyway, even though Acolyte 96 died at the hands of Molly Needles, the show doesn't have to face the same fate. Can you tell I was reading that? I was reading that. Anyway, so season 4 is going to come to an end unless we reach 96 Patreons. If we do that, we will still release bi-monthly content, which is basically what we're releasing now. We usually release 2 to 3 shows a month, depending on if it's a 5-week month and how it lies. But pretty much 2 things hit your RSS feed from us no matter what. And I'm not including ICE episodes. Right there, it's just content. We will continue doing that. However, comma. It will be in standalone anthology-styled stories set in the Cybernicide universe and in intensive care ICE episodes like this one, only funner. So basically we'll do more interviews and a little bit more behind-the-scenes stuff. But more than that, I know you guys are here for the stories. So the ICE episodes, I promise, that won't be like what you're paying for. You're still going to get standalone anthology-styled stories. But they're going to be more in the vein of the mini-episode format. So, anywhere from 0 minutes to 20 minutes, depending on how it's written. And we'll produce that in-house, but it's not going to be released every other Tuesday. Again, the serialized content, as of right now, is done. We can't support it. And even at 96 Patreons, we can't support it. That being said, Season 4 is paid for. It's in the bank. That's coming out no matter what, and it is epic. And we'll go into more of that later. But right now, 96, that number, 96, keeps us alive. So please, 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 please go to our Patreon. $1. That's all we need from you. $1. $1 of your monthly support. So what? That's $12 a year? Yeah. That keeps Cybernicide going. That helps us pay for voice actors. Again, the content at that level, we can still pay for, some decent voice actors and be able to produce this and give it to you no matter what, even though we're past the serialized season structure. So you're still going to get great stories come out of Morston, but not just Morston, but the whole universe. So it might be more stories about characters you love or new characters you've never met set in parts of the world we've never visited. We might be 2,000 years in the future, like certain stories, or a couple of 100 years in the future, like I think a release story we just did on New Year's Eve.
It's okay. I promise. I won't hurt you.
So all that is at our hands, and we will definitely continue doing that for you guys, but we have to hit this goal in order for it to be viable, where it's not tapping into me, my wife, and sorry, son, you can't eat tonight. I got to write stories for the people on the free podcast. Yeah, well, deal with it. Okay, well, I don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. It's free. I don't know. That's just the way podcasts work. We're going to have to do that. So 96 Patreons basically is going to pay for the server, pay for the websites, give us the funds it needs to, pay some voice actors. And as far as the production and the writing, we don't really got to pay for that as much because we kind of do that all on our side unless we need to update equipment and things like that. So that's my plea to you on that first tier. Now, 447. You know that number, right? Everybody loves 447.
Just a number now. That's it. 447. That's me.
When you click on the goal on 447, our second goal for Patreon, you'll even see a cute little cartoon version of him, which is available in our merch store. The legendary 447 is more than just a number. And the show can be too. I read that also. I read that. 447. As you might have heard a while ago, like seconds ago, our fourth season is going to be the final season of Cybernicide. Unless, if we hit 447 Patreons, we will release content every week. Every week. In the vein of mini episodes, ICE episodes, and standalone anthology stories. So that means 52 times a year you will get something from us. But we have to reach that. By doing that, that allows me to, take more time off work and tie into this to up that level of production, to hire maybe a producer to help with actually producing the content instead of it just being our team. That right there, again, just $1. We got 447 people at the dollar level that would take care of it. The good news is, with the way Patreon works and the way a lot of you amazing supporters that are already donating on Patreon, and I know if you're already donating to us on Patreon, sometimes it's a little agonizing to listen to, and I'm so sorry, because a lot of you guys have been there with us since the launch of this thing, March 2 years ago, I think is when it was. And I thank you so much for that. But the way Patreon works is a lot of times if you just donate $1, about for every 5 people that donate on Patreon, usually 4 of them will be $1, and then that 5th one will be $5 or $10 or $15. So, and that helps. The more money we get, the more money we pour into this production. I am not at this level. I am not trying to replace my day job with this podcast. I would love to. That's the dream, right? But at this level, it's just about keeping this alive and not a constraint on the team that's making it. All right. So let's talk about There's only 4 levels. We're not going to be here all night, I promise.
I am 808. You are ours now.
808. Acolyte 808. 808. So 808, he's in our mini episode with Rima. Put the pipe in her skull. Splat. That's Rima. That's Vima's sister. Spoilers. And then later on, we hunt him down in a garage. And one of my favorite episodes, On My Mark, with the amazing rambling Rob voicing like 4 of the different squad guys going through trying to capture him, and they all sound like different people. It's such a great episode. So if you haven't checked out season 3, episode 5, you should. On My Mark. Anyway, Acolyte 808 was a massive acolyte and was a lot to handle at once. But we are sure you can handle this. I read that too. As you might have heard, season 4 is the final season of Sirenicide. Yes, you've already said it like 5 times. But if we hit 808 Patreons and maintain it, we will move to a binge bulk series release, in addition to everything from the 447 level. So let me break that down to you. You got Netflix? Of course you do. You got Hulu? Maybe. You got Amazon Prime? All right. Either way, you know what a bulk binging release is. We are in the binge era. People love binging entertainment. So what we'll do is we'll put together, we hit 808 Patreons and maintain it. We will put together a series of 10 episodes, not a season, but a series. And they will evolve around one arc that's 10 episodes deep. And we're talking like real full-length episodes, okay? Because at that point, I can hire a lot better voice talent. I can hire more producers, and we'll still be able to produce everything on the 447 level, like the mini episodes, the ICE episodes, and then add this massive binge content. So bam, once a year, you'll get 10 episodes thrown into the feed. Instead of spreading it out over 16 weeks or whatever, you'll get it all at once. All 10 episodes will be uploaded at one time, and you can just binge the heck out of that story. And if we stay at 808, then we'll release one of those every year till the end of time. All right? So, and then the final goal, well, this is my favorite one. All right? The Perfect Vision, Acolyte 2020. What, you never heard of her? Ooh, strong female characters, baby. Well, if you don't know her, and we hit this goal and maintain it, you're going to meet her, because she'll be one of the first characters that is introduced in the next Sirenicide serialized season. That's right. At this level, I can quit my job and work with a production team, maintain everything. That will be, I'll free up tons of time, and it's not just about the stories. If we can do this, there's going to be a ton of things that happen. All right? So let's go into it. So the new seasons of Sirenicide would be not related to the first 4. Those things are packaged up, written. That's the Matthew Finnis story, and it is, and the Eddie Viles story, and those are all there, right? So this would be totally new. And if you want to peek at that, again, I urge you, check out mini episode 28, All Is Quiet On. That story was a test in the post-apocalyptic future of the Sirenicide universe to see what it would be like.
My name is Demry. I live south of here, beyond the giant bone towers. You seem really in tune with humans. So, are you someone sentient?
So check out that story. Also, the Midland series of books will finally be written. What is that, you say? Well, if you go back to mini episode 25, Scary's on the Wall, Jessica McAvoy of the No Sleep podcast voices our goddess of death, Vaz. And Vaz brings up a place called the Midland.
His drug of choice ruptured his sight here. But I'll take them bones you have on, and he'll be free again to live in the Midland if you so choose. What'd you say?
Laughlin says, well, I'm from Earth. She's like, oh, wow, you're from a long time ago. What is the Midland? Who knows? Let's get to 2,200 Patreons, and we'll definitely find out. Plus, live tours. We'll start touring live, not just regionally in Texas, but at that Patreon level, we'll be able to actually bring our horror fiction podcast on the road. And if you guys are curious what that's like, you can go to our website, click on live. Last March, the No Sleep podcast came through town, and we opened up for them, and we got to do right at an hour of a podcast live, doing surgery and all that kind of stuff with a narrative wrapped around it. So it'd be something like that, only it'd be on tour. So new merch and much, much more. Of course, that one we're not really worried about. 96 is the number right now, folks. 96. Not 2020, not 447, and not 808. Those are great goals for the future, and the quicker we can get there, the quicker that content will come out. But right now, we're just looking for you guys to feel for a pulse. Tier 1 of our Patreon is just $1, and it's called Feeling for a Pulse. Tier 2 is a peek into the surgeon's chamber, and that's at the $5 level. And there, you're going to get a little bit more behind-the-scenes content, and we start hosting a little bit more Patreon polls and things like that. Then there's the anomaly gift at work. That's our $15 level. And yeah, that one's basically everything from the $5 level upward. And we can also, if you want it, we'll do a one-on-one Q&A with you at your request. So if you want the team to hop on Skype, Google Hangouts, and you want to ask us questions to your heart's content, join at that level and shoot us a message, and we'll be happy to do it for you. Then there is the Walk in Our World for a Day, which is our $35 level. And that level will actually make you a character based on your idea for the character, write them into an episode. And then there's Stay in Our World. Now, this is the big one. This is $100 a month, and this is really geared to someone out there that's listening that can afford that level. We will make a recurring character to appear in mini episodes, full episodes based on your ideas. So you sit down with the writing team and we'll go from there. Life After the Storm, this is just kind of a fun level that hopefully one day a multi-billionaire is listening to this show and is like, oh yeah, I'll join at that level. $1,000 per month. And you get everything from all the other tiers, plus the fuel for knowing that you are going to help create a complete follow-up series of live tours and audio forever for this show. So that's our Patreon in a nutshell. So let's move on to PayPal. So you can do a one-time donation or set up for monthly installments through our PayPal as well. The reason why I spent so much time on Patreon, though, versus this way, there's no social interaction on this. Patreon at least has a place where we can post photos, and even though I kind of complained about, the way their video system works, there's still something there. So if you don't want to touch any social network at all, you can still donate through Patreon and receive some content, some perks. It's not that we don't appreciate donations through PayPal. We appreciate anything you can do for us, whether it's buying our merch like I was talking about earlier and what little bit we make from that, or through donations through PayPal. But just be advised that if you go through PayPal, I do get like a receipt saying this username donated this much money to the show, which we get every now and then, which is really nice. Really proud of those. So if you're listening out there and you're anonymous, thank you so much. But if you're wanting more of the social interaction and some perks for, being a part of what supports the show, definitely Patreon is probably a little bit better. I know that some people have complained the way Patreon makes you log in and out, and then once your debit or credit card expires, it can be a headache getting a new one on there. So I see why PayPal might be a better avenue for certain people that don't want to face all those frustrations. But either way, if no matter what you choose to keep the show alive, thank you so much from the bottom of our heart for just even considering it. Nevertheless, if you just want to listen to this for free forever, awesome. I'm just glad you're out there checking out the art that we're making and that so many people are putting their heart and soul into. So I think that's pretty much it here. I'm going to transition into the big part of all of this, which is our off season, because that's what we're about to head into. Full steam. We'll be right back. So here we are, the new off season. So we are doing some changes with our off season. Mini episode 38, which is going to air on May 21st, 2019, will be the last mini episode of the off season. Well, it might be the last mini episode of the serialized seasons too. I just thought about that. Wow. Good thing it's a really good one. So be looking out for that. Well, what we're going to be doing in the transition time is we're actually going to be doing interviews with the cast. So we're going to be interviewing people like Malik's character, who is voiced by Duncan McPherson, and Christina Nichols, who does Juliana Blaze. Lena Klein is voiced by the epic Jessica McAvoy from the No Sleep podcast. We're going to be sitting down with her again. Jessica Perry from Vanilla Sugar, the voice behind Avery Brennan, and so many others like Bennett. I can't wait for you guys for us to sit down with him. He's the new voice of Emmett McNally. 447 when he turned into Emmett McNally. Again, you should not be here if there's spoilers by this point. I know I keep saying that, but I keep getting scared every time I say something that's spoilery, whatever. You got it. So Doc is voiced by John Grills of creepy small town horror, like everywhere, the awesome John Grills, and we're going to be sitting down with him, and as well as all the internal cast members, myself, Amy, who does the voice of Molly Needles, Christina Ashworth, who does the voice of Vima, Mervin, who does the voice of Harper. We're going to be going over all of these leading up to the last two big interviews, which are going to be Eddie Vile and Matthew Finnish / Joey Trauma. So we're going to be sitting down, and that'll be right before the season 4 release. Now, those interviews in themselves are going to be a big treat. But you're also, if you're sticking around at the end, you're going to be hearing these cool giveaways going down. We're going to be giving away, at the end of each interview, we're going to announce during the off seasons, we're going to be giving mugs, t-shirts, handbags at first. We're going to start with the small prizes and then move up to the larger prizes. Phone cases, large pillows, tapestries, canvas, hardback journals, like we mentioned earlier. Those are going to be giving ICE episode. Those are going to be given away at the end of every episode of the interviews. So definitely stick around to them. But you're only going to be entered to win those prizes if you're a Patreon. So we talked about that earlier versus supporting through buying merch or through PayPal, which are great. But our Patreons, we can actually export those as Excel sheets. I can line number them and then simply go, hey Siri, pick a number between 1 and 35.
It's 16.
And like that, number 16 would have got a mug. See how easy that is? So we're going to be doing that at the end of every interview during the off season. So the off season is going to be different. Usually we just do mini episodes between seasons. We just don't like the blackout. We always want to put something in your feed. That way, Cybernicide is always working for you. But this time we want to give you some cool interviews and give you some stuff back in return. So that's the off season. That's pretty quick, huh? Did you like my clap there? I know it's probably pretty annoying. Gotta love these ICE episodes, huh? All right, we'll be right back with the epic release date of season 4. You ready to find out when it's going to happen? It's going to happen right
The anathema is upon us.
now. All right, that wasn't too long of a wait, was it? September 17th, 2019. Can I say that any slower? September 17th, 2019 is the release date of season 4 of Cybernicide, the final serialized season. Man, seashell, by the seashore, right? The final serialized season of Cybernicide. So week to week, starting on September 17th, we're going to be releasing an episode of Cybernicide every Tuesday until December 31st. Every week. We've been wanting to do this for so long. We're so excited about it. So just like a normal TV show, during its seasonal run, you're going to get an episode of our show every week. So we're so stoked. I can't spoil any of it, but it's huge. Like I said earlier in the episode, every storyline is going to get wrapped up. It's going to be a massive, massive finale. So I cannot wait to share our largest endeavor yet with you guys. So September 17th is all. That's all I'm getting at in this section. Really quick bullet point here. All right, moving on. We're going to slow things down a little bit. And I want you to take some time to explore the show notes because there's a big list down there. Those are our friends. Those are our good friends. These are the shows and the artists that have contributed to this show so far in momentous ways that we could never repay. Starting with CreepyPod, the Creepy Podcast, creepypod.com, hosted by the wonderful John Grills. So if you check out that link, I'll take you to one of the coolest anthology podcasts out there, CreepyPod. You a fan of Game of Thrones? Well, there's a show called Game of Microphones, and you can check that out at gameofmicrophones.com. It's hosted by Lady Rachel and Malacusto. Duncan McPherson. Sir Duncan. And every now and then, you might hear this Artsmeister Stitches join in the commentary. Good friend of mine, amazing in-depth Game of Thrones I mean, he's doing a rewatch right now leading up to the release of the season. And some of these episodes are 3.5 hours where they go through scene by scene, linking all sorts of stuff. If they mark anything for the books, they don't spoil it. That way, if you haven't read the books yet, you're not spoiled on them. But it's a spoiler podcast from the perspective of someone that has seen all the way up till right now. And it's just like me and a lot of other people just waiting for the next Game of Thrones season, which is just 13 days away right now. So check that out. Game of Microphones. GameOfMicrophones.com. And then Calling Darkness. Take comedy, take horror, mix them together. And it's produced by some of the best females in the audio drama world, the audio drama queens, including our very own Desdemona. You got to check out Calling Darkness. That's callingdarknesspodcast.libsyn.com. The link's in the show notes. If you like what we're doing here with audio dramas of a serialized nature, check out their first season. That's in production. Actually, I'm sorry, not in production. It is out now, going. I think they just released their 4th episode. Check it out. Comedy and horror collide with an amazing ensemble of female producers, voice actors. It's just really, really cool. Don't want to spoil any of it. It's funny, it's engaging, and it's made by our friends, so you should check it out. People are asking me all the time, I've just finished Sirenicide. What should I listen to next? Calling Darkness. That's what you should listen to next. Answer to question. All right, moving on down the friend list. Scary Dad. And these friends are in no apparent order. They're all standing on the line together, holding hands around the Sirenicide world, going, yay! All right, Scary Dad. ScaryDad.com. I talked earlier about the convention we're having later this year with these guys. Scott and his wonderful daughter and his wonderful son have been, all 3 of them have been voices in the mini episodes. So go back and check the casting list, because right off the top of my head, I can't remember which ones. I don't want to spoil one that hasn't came out yet. I think the dad is the bouncer. Scott is the bouncer in an episode that's already out. The son was the 911 operator and the Haunted Jawbone. Yeah, a Haunted Jawbone. So that one's already out. Okay, cool. I think they are all the way out. Okay, cool. Yeah, and then, of course, Demery, whom we heard a sample of earlier from All Is Quiet On. She's the lead in that. First time voice acting and just knocked it out of the park. Might have to set up an interview with her later, too. So check out Scary Dad. They go through and they basically talk about everything scary, going back to top 10 list of their favorite horror movies, going into what you can expect that's going around in the horror world. But one of my favorite things is they open every podcast with an old business and new business. And it's really, really something, because kind of like this ICE episode format, they just sit back, pop open a few beers, and set their recorder between them, and they just talk. And it feels like you're just hanging out with them on the back screen and porch talking about, everything you love. That's scary. So check out the Scary Dad podcast at ScaryDad.com. Southern Grimoire. Now, we've promoted this one a few times, but I never get tired of bringing up Katie Burr. Katie Burr, southerngrimoire.buzzsprout.com is her podcast. And she also has a curiosity store. So you can check that out. Facebook.com/southerngrimoire. She's got some really creepy jewelry, man. It's so cool. She's got little skulls with amethysts and all sorts of stuff mixed together. It is really trippy. So check out Facebook.com/southerngrimoire, and you can just start going down the wall there, and you'll see all the stuff that she has for sale there. Really cool. And I can't do promo without bringing up our brothers and sisters in arms, led by the great podfather, the No Sleep podcast, hosted by David Cummings. Good friends of the show that have helped us out a ton. We got the Open for Them live. Like I said, that live video is on our website under the live tab if you want to see that. If you're listening to this and you haven't heard the No Sleep podcast yet, I'm so sorry that I didn't bring it up sooner. I'm pretty sure I did. Go check it out. And that's the nosleeppodcast.com, thenosleeppodcast.com, or you can just pretty much search No Sleep on any social platform and find their happenings. The Mad Scientist podcast. Man, Chris was in our Dark Elite episode with Vima not too long ago, and his podcast, man, I don't even know where to start with it, because every other time it comes out, it's some new subject, going from interviewing people from the Church of Satan to the depth of the color blue. Every episode is so different, but they break it down from a scientific standpoint, and it's really, really good. So check out the Mad Scientist Podcast. That's the madscientistpodcast.com. And by the way, these are all our friends and stuff. None of these people are paying or any of that kind of stuff. This is not some stamps.com kind of thing. Stamps.com. Use them, don't. It doesn't matter. They're not paying us. All right. So, based on a true story podcast, next on our list, Dan Lefebvre. He is returning for season 4, confirmed. I got his audio in the other day. He was the reporter in season 3, and he's reprising that role as that investigative journalist for this one. But on his primary podcast, man, any movie you see with based on a true story at the beginning of it, he goes through and like analyzes that. He did one on JFK. One of my favorite ones actually is still is Braveheart, where he breaks down Braveheart versus what really happened, which the movie and the events are nothing alike, but he goes into that scene by scene, and it's so in-depth, but the quality of his podcast, I'm so envious of how well it is produced. It is an amazing podcast, and that's based on a true story podcast.com. Pretty long title. Based on a true story podcast.com. So just click the link down there. And then transitioning from the podcast world to music. Music make you lose control, right? Dark Tranquillity. Dark Tranquillity, the Gothenburg death metal band, melodic death metal. So, I mean, it's so great. It's so great. Check out Dark Tranquillity if you haven't. There's a song called Theron if you're looking for something softer. And there's a song called Focus Shift if you're looking to really focus. There's all sorts of good stuff from this band. Dark Tranquillity, their lead singer played Dr. Ivar Norden on our second season, and he probably will be reprising that role again. We'll see. All right. WNSavings.com. WN Savings was one of our sponsors during season 3, ran by the great Waylon Mercury / McKenzie. Waylon is probably going to be one of our interviews in the off season too, but that's his business. Save yourself a lot of money on a lot of things, so check out WMSavings.com. And last but certainly not least is Miss Christina Ashworth, epic producer of the Sirenicide podcast, massive voice behind Vima Boeing herself, and one hell of a baker, an amazing baker, has shortycakes.net. One of our sponsors from last season. You got to check it out, especially if you're in the Houston area. Order a cake from her, order cupcakes from her, get cookies from her, whatever you need. Check out shortycakes.net. Go to her photo album there and look at all the different cakes she's made. She's made a lot of kids' birthday parties. Like, you know, these kids are like, oh, that's cool presents, but look at that cake. So check it out, shortycakes.net. All right. And we're about to be closing it out here, but I got something pretty epic. So stick around. Hey, you lucky Patreon supporters. How you doing? Welcome to the end of the episode. So I just want to give a shout out to our Patreons and stick around because we're going to be doing something really, really cool at the end of this list. So right now we have 35 active Patreons. All right, roll call. Alberto D. Jesus, Amber Blake. Now, Amber Blake, I'm going to pause on this one for a minute because I'm not just going to list this like a YouTube video does a scroll at the end, you know. Amber Blake has been donating to this since day one. Amber Blake has been in the peak into the surgeon's chamber. That's $10. All right. So 22 months on Patreon, you do the math. She has been an epic sponsor on this show, helping us do this. Without her, we couldn't. The next one doesn't count. That's Amy, you know, and she's one of the creators. But, you know, thanks, Amy. And then we got William Stewart, the famed author and the co-host of the Scary Dad podcast, one of our newer Patreons. Thank you, Billy. Brandon Boone, epic composer of the No Sleep podcast. He's filling up for a pulse, and he's been doing that for 13 months, man. 13 months. Woo! Kayla Tolles, she has been filling for a pulse as well for, it looks like, around 8 months. And then Christina Ashworth, she don't count either because she's part of the team. She don't count. But Christina Nichols, she is brand new, just joined us up. That is the voice behind Juliana Blaze. Thank you, Christina. And then Dan Lefebvre, we just talked about his awesome podcast, but Dan's been supporting us for 13 months, feeling for a pulse as well. Desdemona started out as just a Patreon supporter, started out as a listener, saw us live, and now she's the lore master. So you too can go from hearing us to being part of us. Just like that. Sit down and ask Des, how do you do it, Des? I'm just awesome. That's what she'll say. That's her catchphrase. All right. Then we got this guy, eDave56. eDave56, I don't know who you really are. You just joined us, but welcome, brother. Then we got the Game of Microphones podcast. Duncan and Rachel supporting us at the Ravens at Game of Microphones. Write in, tell them how awesome they are. Then we have Jake Ivy, brand new, but already at the peak into the surgeon's chamber level. Man, what you seeing in there? A lot of stuff, huh, Mr. Ivy? Then we have Jason and Karen from the Walking Dead cast, been supporting us for 13 months. Thank you, Jason and Karen. And we have Jason Trebone. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, I'm so sorry. Welcome, welcome, welcome. He's filling for a pulse. I got this guy, Joey Trauma. We know who you are. Psh, we found out finally. But old Joey, he's been supporting us. I'll give him credit where credit's due. 22 months straight. Thanks for being part of the team, Joey. Then we got Mr. John Paul Goins. Man, John Paul's been with us. We're going to take a minute and spotlight him. Peeking into the surgeon's chamber. Peeking into the surgeon's chamber, which is a $5 level. And that man has given us $110. Wow. Wow, that is a long time and a lot of contribution. Thank you so much. John Grills, the epic, creepy podcast, hanging out with Mr. John Paul, both of them J's. You can tell I'm reading these in alphabetical order now, huh? But something about the J's, man, because John, Paul, John Grills, and Josephine, they are all hanging out in the surgeon's chamber, which is the second level at the $5 level, supporting us strong. Thank you guys so much. And Kelly, hey, Kelly has been with us for a long time, right at $100 that she has sent. So thank you so much, Kelly. It's Miss Suzuki. We got something coming up for you in season 4. So I want you to listen real good when there's a certain conversation between two people. They're going to bring up a doctor and that doctor's name. And I want you to know that when you hear that, yes, that was for you. All right. So Kenneth Bryant, woo, done a ton of voices for us. Kenneth Bryant, man, thank you so much. Been with us 15 months. Larry Kinney just joined us at the Feeling for a Pulse level about 5 months ago. Thank you, Larry. Leah Blackwell, been with us for 2 months now. Leah's actually been a voice on the show before. And again, like I talked about earlier, if you jump into the Patreon group, all of these people are talking to each other. So donate $1 and join in on the conversations that happen. It's a little bit funner than the public group just because it's not a whole bunch of strangers. It's a whole bunch of family hanging out, you know? Lizzie Thompson, been feeling for a pulse, supporting us 15 months straight. Thank you so much, so much. Lizzie's also been a voice on the show a few times as well. Michael T. Sheriff, there from the beginning. He is a 23-month sponsor. 23 months. Wow. At the peak in the surgeon's chamber level. Thank you so much, Michael. Me and Michael went to elementary school together and middle school together and high school together. Huh, Mike? Thanks, brother. Really is. I mean, it's so cool. And he's always been active in there at the very beginning, stirring up conversation, posting on things. So thanks so much, Michael, for being with us and continuing there. Then Paige 3.14, Paige. Nice name. Even nicer, the fact that you are our only Seeing the Anomaly gift work Patreon. That is the $15 level. What? $15. Thank you so much, Paige. Paige, we love you, Paige. Paige has been there for a few months, and we continue. I want to do something for you. Like I said, we have that. You feel free to message us. We would love to do the one-on-one with the whole creative team, just talking to you about our show, you know, just for you. Thank you for being at that Seeing How the Anomaly Gift Works, or Seeing the Anomaly Gift at Work level. Podcast we listened to, been filling for a pulse for 13 months. That's a great Facebook group. If you have not joined it yet, there's like thousands and thousands. They have a con and everything. Podcast we listened to. Thanks for your support, guys. And here we are. I love this one. I love this lady. I love her so much. Rose, if you've been on any of our social accounts, the first person to like, the first person to live stream, without a doubt, one of our number one fans, if not the number one fan, leader of so many great Walking Dead groups, Rose. Rose has been with us from the very beginning. She was, I think, it's either a run-up between her and Michael Scher with who was our first Patreon, but they joined the same month. Thank you so much, Rose. Rose, we can't say enough good things about you, Rose. We love you, Rose. Everybody loves Rose. Everybody with me right quick say, we love you, Rose. All right, cool. Thanks. Scott Fompno, other co-host of the Scary Dad podcast, voice actor on the show, and supporting us at the Peak and the Surgeons level too. So him and Rose hanging out with all the J's, Jake Ivey and John and all them, and William Stewart. So cool. The Surgeon's Chamber is getting kind of packed. I like it. Let's pack it up. All right, moving on to Tommy Laporte. The city of Laporte's right around here, Tommy. Laporte, Texas. All right. Tommy has been filling for a pulse. You ready for this? For 21 months. Almost from the get-go. Man, that's awesome. Thank you, Tommy. Tori Holly joined Filling for a Pulse just a few months ago. Thank you, Tori. Don Watkins. Don Watkins. You hearing me, Don? Don Watkins. I work with Don. Don's an awesome guy. He's hanging out in the Surgeon's Chamber, too. He's been doing that for a little while now. Thank you, Don. And then last but not least, it's just alphabetical order. Do not take this personal. Mr. Waylon McKenzie, the voice of Waylon Mercury. Fan of the show. Big on the show. Been doing this thing with us. Almost at $100 he's supported hanging out in the Surgeon's Chamber. Not to mention being a paid sponsor on our show. Thank you, Waylon. Love you, brother. And now we're going to move on to the big closing surprise. Are you ready? All right, before we get into this last part that I just keep prologuing, I also want to say a special thanks to Denise Kaminsky. She is a former Patreon, but she was at a $35 tier level for so long. Denise, thank you so much. We are so happy that you were able to take advantage of walking in our world for a day for months on months in and donating over $315 to our podcast. We love you. We miss you. Hopefully one day you'll be back with us, but I know you're still listening out there. Thank you so much, Denise. And for the annals of time, you will be that pharmacist forever on the Siren Aside podcast. Guys, go check out that mini episode if you have not in our off season from our season break in season 3. And Celine D. Santos, you were with us for a long, long time. Over $80 you've donated to the show. And I know there's been some Patreon issues and stuff like that going back and forth. I was bringing that up earlier, like when your card expires and all sorts of stuff. It's a mess with Patreon sometimes. But thank you so much for being a part of us, and you're always going to be there with us.
All right, and now, the grand finale that has been promised for the end of ICE episode number 10.
So, you Patreons ready? Check this out. Siri, pick a number between 1 and 35.
The answer is 23.
23. All right, so we randomized our list from earlier. 23. Oh my God, it's Rose! I hope I didn't peek, sorry. Rose, you did it! Oh my gosh. Okay, so Rose, we're giving away a 447 coffee mug to kick off how we're going to be doing the post giveaways. So Rose, you have won the first giveaway. That is fucking awesome. Wow. Okay, cool. No one more deserving than Rose, right? Except for the 34 other fellows. And right now that can grow to 96. Hopefully very quickly. Help us out and enter to win these contests. So the way this is going to work, I forgot to throw this in before I did this little surprise, but just because Rose won this week, what we're going to probably do, and we'll post some official rules so we don't get sued over a coffee mug, but probably we'll do like a 2-week or 2-episode cooldown, and then we'll reset the drawings. That way, it's like, well, man, I've been paying month to month. I didn't win the first few months. Or, yeah, I got the t-shirt, but that person got the big, nice pillow. And after 2 weeks, we'll reset it. That way, each of the new Patreons get a chance to win, as well as the people who have been supporting get re-entered. Sound fair? Cool. All right. So, Rose, congratulations. Just message us your address, and we'll get that out to you from our store. Awesome. Cool. All right, guys. I guess we're going to see you in a week for ME35. Yep, ME35.
for the record.
See you guys then. Thanks a lot. All elements of Sirenicide are copyright 2019 by Atrium Dynamics, unless otherwise stated. Any duplication of this production without the secured written consent of Atrium Dynamics is strictly prohibited. Please visit Sirenicide.com for more details.